Tony Bennett retires as the men's basketball coach at the University of Virginia. That is effective immediately. There will be a press conference on Friday morning at 11 a.m. And of course, Bennett, one of the all-time great people, coaches, needless to say, the numbers speak for themselves. 2019 national champion. He got every box checked, and on top of that, just a class personified. So a shocking story for not only Virginia, the ACC, and really college basketball as we get ready to start this season. Cranking up here in a couple weeks. And like I mentioned, we just had ACC Basketball Media Day last week for both the men and the women. And Bennett looked completely relaxed. His players who talked to as well, we're excited to see where it goes. And again, this is just one of those crazy stories of where you were when you found out Tony Bennett decided to catch you later. And again, he's only 55 years of age. And again, we'll find out more tomorrow at the press conference, and everybody will speculate what the reasonings may be here, but you just wish him the absolute best. He is, again, one of the classiest people you'd ever want to deal with, whether you're talking to him as a media member or just as a neighbor, next door neighbor, whatever the case may be. Just really, really great people. And he will be missed.
Yeah, certainly curious to hear about the reasoning, and he will have his reasons for making this official today. The timing of it is certainly curious as you head toward the start of a season, just a couple of weeks away from getting this season going there at UVA and in college basketball as a whole. You think about other things like how long has this decision been in the works? How long is it something that he's been thinking about? Did it just hit him maybe over the last week as he started to gear up for another season? And sometimes as you get closer to a season, as a coach, you think, I don't know if I have it in me to give it my 150% at 100 miles an hour for the next 6 months of my life. And it's a 24-hour-a-day job now with the portal and NIL and keeping players happy. And again, it's a new era of college sports where you're not just thinking about 3 to 4 year chunks of players. You're thinking about, how long am I going to have this player here for the next year, for the next 2 years? And UVA and Tony Bennett, it's a long build, and he likes to build a program a certain way, and perhaps this era of college basketball doesn't allow that.
Let's bring in our man, Seth Greenberg, for more here. All right, Seth, we just exchanged the pleasantries last week, and we talked to Tony, the players, everybody else. Everybody seemed to be in good spirits. How shocked are you to find out today that Tony Bennett's decided to step down immediately?
I'm shocked because of the timing. I'm not totally surprised because there was some rumblings last spring a little bit that Tony was not totally comfortable with the culture and the environment that surrounds college basketball. And that, he's got core beliefs and non-negotiables. Now, look, I am not an insider. I don't know something. I do know that Tony Bennett is everything good about college basketball. He's a great teacher. He's a great ambassador. He's there for all the right reasons. He built the program with really good players that bought into being part of something greater than themselves. He always carried himself in a manner that you would want to carry yourself if you had a model to follow. I used the story all the time when I was at Virginia Tech. I'd go recruit to 757, and my daughter Paige would travel with me sometimes to take that drive because I was driving up and back. And I remember one of the first times that Paige went with me, Coach Bennett was there. And literally, Tony would got this game-long conversation with Paige. And every time I've ever seen Tony since that point, he would always ask me how Paige is doing, congratulated me when she got married, congratulated me when she had her 2 children. So I am shocked at the timing. I'm not totally shocked at the event in itself. I just hope, one, that his health and his dad's health and his family's health has nothing to do with it, and that they are well. And college basketball and the ACC look, we're losing a great ambassador for the game. Whether it's Coach K, whether it's Jay Wright. You look at the history of our game, and we're losing real culture creators and leaders and voices of our sport.
Seth, how much more challenging is it now for coaches like Tony Bennett that want to build a program and culture a certain way to do that in 2024?
That was Jay Wright's big thing. He was not sure he could maintain his culture in the environment of college athletics at the time. And I think it's really hard. It's really hard because, Tony is looking to recruit really good players. Look, they had great pros. whether it's Hunter or Brogdon, or you look at the number of guys that they put into the NBA. But they developed those guys. They weren't one and done guys. They came in as really talented guys that bought into the good of the group. They had great roles, and then they took those roles to the next level. So, yeah, I think Matt, I think that's for sure. And again, I would never want to put words in Tony Bennett's mouth, but it made it more difficult. It's made it more difficult for Tony Bennett and every other coach in college basketball that really believes in player development, developing an identity, developing a culture, watching guys grow and develop, being part of their lives, understanding it's not a 4-year decision, it's a 40-year decision. The relationship part of it, and obviously we heard Coach Saban talk about it the other day, transformational versus transactional. It has become a much more transactional business. If you're in it to change lives, and all of us, the guys that grew up in coaching when I did, they all grew and got involved in coaching because someone impacted their life, quite honestly. They fell in love with the game. They were lost in the game. Someone impacted their life in a positive way, and they wanted to basically follow in that coach's footsteps. And the greatest part of coaching is the relationships. Like the winning and losing, winning at Duke, winning at Carolina, those things are great. It's when you recruit a guy, your relationship develops. Then you coach him. Then your relationship develops. Then he graduates. Then your relationship develops. Then he has kids and he's married. And when that relationship changes, and it's just basically you're acquiring players to win games, for someone that has the value system that Tony Bennett has, and most coaches, quite honestly, have, I think this is really difficult, man. I really do.
Not only with basketball, but also graduation and the whole thing you're talking about, relationships, without question. Anybody's had any dealings with Jay Wright, you know what I'm talking about. Tony Bennett and Jay Wright are cut from the exact same cloth in terms of how they put together their programs. And oh, by the way, if you want to go win conference championships, national championships, they got all those boxes checked. They graduated all their kids. They brought in the right kind of kid, if that makes any sense. And to see Jay Wright walk away literally at the top of his profession at the age of 60, Tony Bennett now walking away from Virginia at the age of 55. I don't think this is a coincidence given the lay of the land and the landscape right now of college athletics. That should not be a surprise.
I'll give you a great Jay Wright story. So Jay Wright made the Final Four that year. ESPN asked me to go to Philadelphia and visit with him. So it was obviously Turner and CBS, but he said, no, come on up. So I come up and I visit with him. We do the little interview. He calls me over and he basically says this to me, and I can give it to you verbatim. He says, I know this time of the year you always think about getting back in. You are crazy if you want to get back in this craziness. All right, now, they go to the Final Four. He comes back. He announces his retirement. All right, so they ask me to go back down. So I'm sitting with Jay. We go down to the court. We're about to start the interview. He goes, I wanted to tell you, but, I couldn't. He said, for the last 3 months, it wasn't in me. It wasn't in me. I just, I loved my team. I loved my players, but something was different. And I kind of told you, but I didn't tell you when you met with me 2 weeks ago. So, did a point come where Tony woke up and said, this is not who I am. This is not what I believe in. I'm compromising my values. I'm not the best version of myself. And if I'm not the best version of myself, am I cheating the guys in the program? Could that happened? I don't know. I don't want to speak to him. My biggest thing is that happened. I am so happy for him. I just hope that his family, his parents, his dad are in good health because I know that family is so close. They have such a close relationship. I just hope everything there is in place. But, Tony Bennett deserves to leave on his terms. It's like anything else, Pac. If your heart is not in something and you're cheating the job, I don't care if it's coaching or anything you're doing in life, Tony Bennett's standard for himself, his core beliefs, his pillars are so far greater than coaching basketball that I just have so much respect for the person. Forget about the coach. You forget about, understanding what he was able to do. More than that, the person, if you sit down and talk with Tony Bennett, it's much bigger than basketball.
Yeah.
It's more about life. It's all about family. It's all about when he asks you how you're doing, he genuinely wants to have that conversation. And that's, he's as genuine a person as I've ever met in this business. Like I said, he's everything good about the profession. And look, the profession has changed. There are a lot of great people still in the coaching profession, but I think it is also a commentary on if we're losing these people because of the integrity of the profession and the game and the business, maybe we should really take a look at the business.